Great to have you with us on Intruders TV Music. We're here at the UKF Second Birthday at Cable South London, and we managed to catch up with Loadstar. Guys, it's an absolute pleasure to have you with us tonight, and let's be honest, we've got plenty of juicy details to cover in this interview. Obviously, Space Between came out last month, picked up by Zane Lowe, Fern Cotton.
I know, it's great, man. We're really chuffed with that.
Absolutely, yeah. And then obviously Chase the Status remix, Breakage remix.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be completely honest with you, I'm not so au fait with the drum and bass scene, so I thought to kind of bring me up to speed, we can talk about how the scene's changed over the last decade, because back looking at the late 90s, people like Adam F, DJ Fresh, like chart-topping drum and bass, and it's almost now we've got a similar thing with dubstep. But how would you say the scene, the drum and bass scene, has evolved over the last 10 years or so?
Well, it's interesting. Like things have definitely changed quite a lot from when we first got into it. We got into drum and bass probably about the same time, which was late 90s, when stuff like Ed Rush and Optical was kind of kicking off, and that whole Euro sound was quite big. And we sort of followed it. You know, we followed drum and bass and the scene like to this day, and definitely now it really feels like things are changing quite a lot. Dubstep's obviously coming in a big way, which is great. It's sort of exploded onto the scene very quickly, and I think it's a really positive thing. But you know, for the drum and bass stuff, it's like anything's possible now. I think
there's less boundaries, isn't there?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, there's less boundaries, and people are being a bit more experimental. There's a lot more room for kind of doing different stuff, like vocal stuff, and I don't know, it's a really exciting time, I think. There's a lot happening, but
it's also interesting to see traditionally drum and bass acts like Chase the Status and Breakage are now doing dubstep music as well.
Yeah, I think it's the way music is at the moment. I think a lot of producers, much to ourselves as well, are not so restricted with the boundaries of particular genres and tempos. It's much more that the fact dubstep's come in and opened it up has made it, you know, easier for drum and bass producers who are always very pigeonholed into just writing at a certain tempo to open it up. And Chase and Status have sort of set the bar with that sub-focus as well, and it's really leading.
Yeah, nicely. I think some of the biggest producers of the moment are not really, they're not really restricting themselves to one thing. I mean, like, look at Skrillex, for example, who's just absolutely blown up in a huge way, and I don't think that he, you know, I think it's just electronic music, really. I mean, that can be anything, dubstep, electro kind of stuff, and there's that real freedom that people have got at the moment as artists to sort of, you know, just dip in and out of different styles, and I think I think dubstep's definitely helped that. You know, paved the way for, you know, experimenting with different things.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk about you guys. Obviously, we're here to talk about the Loadstar project, but you've been producing music under aliases Xample and Lomax for the last few years. So when did you decide to come together to form this collaboration? I was living up in Manchester in about 2004, and Gav was in Liverpool, and we were both sort of doing our thing. We kind of knew of each other and our tunes and that. And then we met when I moved to Bristol, and Gav moved there because he's from Bristol at the same time. And we just, we just linked up some night and just had a chat, and it was like, yeah, let's get in the studio, why not, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And
it's kind of evolved from there.
Yeah, it's gone from there. I mean, it started off like, you know, in the studio. We would both have full-time jobs at the time, so we'd get a couple of nights in, and we didn't really get a lot done, I don't think, for a couple of years, but yeah, it really...
Just kind of kicking back, seeing what happens.
Yeah, exactly, but it's, you know, it's about, when we get in the studio, it's about sort of just having fun and like, you know, just playing around, and it's kind of evolved into what we've got now, which is like a proper kind of project, which feels like it's really together now. With the Xample Lomax thing, we're still kind of tied to our own kind of styles. Gav was always about the kind of harder sort of new school sound, and I was doing the more kind of minimal thing. And so to put it together and to start, you know, like a proper project,
it's really been good.
Yeah, it's been good for us, and it's, you know, we can sort of put it all on the same package now.
Combined your individual styles to push your sound forward.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you can still certainly see our signature sounds in what we're doing now. We just felt like a new name would, you know, cement the new direction, and people wouldn't sort of associate us, oh, that sounds like an Xample tune, or that sounds like a Lomax tune. It's all about, you know, just, you know, being diverse and just making whatever music we really want to, and not being pigeonholed under a particular name or genre, as we mentioned earlier, really. And that's what the Loadstar sort of ethos is all about, really.
And it didn't take you guys long to be picked up by Ram Recordings, which are famous for the likes of Chasing Status, Sub Focus. How much influence has that had on your career?
Yeah, loads, I would say. I mean, we were both lucky enough to be signed by Ram a few years ago when we were Xample and Lomax, and that's how the whole collaboration thing really started to snowball. We'd started writing a few tracks, and Andy was playing, and then we all got around the table and discussed the idea of doing some sort of project. And Ram have really, you know, helped us creatively, and what better platform to have than Andy C testing your tunes out every week and seeing how they work in the clubs. You know, that's been invaluable, really.
We touched upon your debut single, Space Between, a little earlier. The fact that it's been picked up by so many big Radio 1 DJs, were you expecting to have that response, or is it just something that's happened?
I think, yeah, I mean, it was a bit of a different track for us. I mean, you know, it was a bit like a big vocal track, and that was sort of like a bit of a
shifted direction.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. But yeah,
so it's kind of testing the water with something that perhaps you guys hadn't done before.
Sort of. It had been a track that had been knocking around for quite a while. We always thought it was a strong tune, and that people kind of picked up on the vocal element, and then it kind of drops to a kind of harder drum and bass sort of thing. I think it's a good example of when we put both our kind of sounds into a track, the way it comes together. You know, it's quite musical, but then it's got this sort of dance floor edge to it as well. And yeah, we were really surprised by the response. I mean, it got picked up by like the Radio 1 lot, and then playlisted as well. We're really happy with that. I think it's given us really good exposure and put us out to a slightly different audience as well than what we used to. So that's that's part of what we're about. I mean, we want to get a good balance of that, which is slightly kind of reaching out to a broad audience, but at the same time we're keeping it still drum and bass very much, and we got our underground tunes that we're really kind of pushing for this album and stuff. So it's about striking that balance. I think we're sort of on the way to making it happen.
Right, so Space Between is almost testing the water as a precursor to an album.
Yeah.
When did you have it slated for release?
We've got the album penciled in for just after the summer, autumn time, really. We've got a few remixes that are going to be coming out, and probably another 2 singles prior to the album, which we're just in the studio sort of finishing off now, putting the finishing touches on. So keep your eyes and ears peeled for those.
Absolutely. Sticking with the subject of remixes, the Blind Faith remix. Now that must have been an interesting tune to remix, because obviously it's been so successful. Almost an anthem of 2011 so far.
Yeah.
So what approach did you take when kind of playing around with it?
Well, I was going to say, like, I got a phone call from Saul. We've always been good mates with Chasing Status, and they had us in mind for this track. And I remember when we first heard it, we were like, yeah, this is kind of different for them, but like really big vocal, really kind of old school dance kind of vocal, and he gave us a bit of direction, saying he definitely wants a bit of an old school feel, but I think the vocal dictated that. It had to be an old school kind of thing.
Yeah.
It just was one of those tunes that just came together really nicely, you know, like it didn't really take long to knock it out, but I don't know, it's just, I mean,
when you've got a really strong vocal to work with, it always helps with remixes, I think, because you know, it instantly gives you a direction for the track. And like Nick said, that old school hands in the air thing, you know, we knew exactly what we wanted to do with it, kind of thing. So yeah, it was a really good track to remix.
And you also mashed up a Jessie J tune. Now that's an interesting influence.
It is. Well, it's really random. We did it for Annie Max. She does a thing called Mash Hits on a Radio 1 show on Friday nights, and yeah, she'd been supporting quite a lot of our tracks, the Breakage remix, the Chasing Status remix, and one of our other tracks, Boulevard. And yeah, she asked us to do that, and yeah, we knocked it up in an afternoon.
We had about 2 hours, and we just we
rolled it out.
But it was good fun, man. I like doing stuff like that. Just like, you know, boshing something out. It's quite good fun.
So it's a quaint little touch. I've never heard of a drum and bass act to remix like a real pop tune.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, it was sort of a remix, but sort of, I mean, a mash hit they call it. So it was just literally you take the track and you do what you want
chop
with it.
it up.
We went a bit mental with it, but it was good fun.
Well, we certainly look forward to some mash hits from you guys in the future.
Indeed.
As we mentioned earlier, we're at the UKF Second Birthday, and how important has UKF been on the drum and bass scene?
Yeah, it's been massive. I mean, I can remember before it got so big, about 2 years ago, when it was like Luke probably in his bedroom at home posting up all these tunes. It was always my first port of call to hear what the latest tunes were, floating around on. You'd gone to a club, you'd heard a DJ play it out, and you always wanted to know what it was. So if you hit UKF up, it was always a great place to find those tracks at.
I think those guys, basically like Luke and the guys involved now, they just hit it at the perfect time. I think, if you wanted to find out about new music, like before YouTube and stuff, you would have had to like go down your record store, you would have had to pick up like a Knowledge magazine or something like that to find out what's fresh. But like now it's so instant and it's so accessible. I think those guys just were really on it with the tunes they were putting up, and yeah, I mean, it's been amazing for the drum and bass scene just to have that exposure. All these videos going up that get like 1 million, 500,000 views and stuff. I mean, that's as an artist,
what better way to hit your music?
Exactly, yeah. I mean, it's so instant. It's great, and yeah, I think they're just going forward in a good direction, and yeah, they're doing a great job, and it's great they're putting this night on as well, because
it's a big venue and it's looking pretty feisty.
It looks wicked.
It's great. I can't wait to play.
It's going to be fun.
I can't wait to hear you guys. And it would be fair to say that you're profoundly drum and bass. Are you thinking of taking any other directions with your music, or are you just going to see where it goes from here?
Yeah, we for the album we've definitely explored other tempos, and in our sets we do play other genres of music. It's not wholly drum and bass, but clearly that depends on the crowd and what venue we're playing. But tonight, judging by the crowd, it's kind of anything goes by the looks of things. So we'll see what happens.